Welcome to Sex Ed with DB. I'm your host, DB. Let's get into it. To be very honest with you all, I am extremely worried about the state of sexual and reproductive health in the US and around the world and the direction that we're headed in. And I feel very overwhelmed. I don't know where to help or how to begin. So when I'm feeling that way, I listen to this podcast called Repros Fight Back. They talk about abortion, birth control access, sex ed, Black maternal health, LGBTQIA plus rights, and so much more. The host, Jenny, is super real and feels like your friend. She has cats, she bakes, she reads romance novels, and she asks the right questions you've always wanted to ask to leaders and advocates in reproductive rights, and then gives you things you can do to fight back. And you literally walk away feeling empowered and inspired. Their topics are vast, like how sexual and reproductive health and rights are provided in emergency settings, how Project 2025 is already in action, and how the administration and the Supreme Court are influencing our health and rights. So, if you want to totally feel inspired, empowered, and in the know, go listen and subscribe to Repros Fight Back. You can find it on any podcast app. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Sex Ed with DB. Today we are getting into emotional cheating. What is it? What does the scholarship say about it? Why do people care about it? Why do we do it? How do we not do it? And this is inspired by this week's Rom-Com Vom episode of The Wedding Planner, because Steve, aka Matthew McConaughey, never technically cheats on his fiance. He definitely crosses some lines. And so, yeah, we're going to talk about what exactly is emotional cheating, what counts, why does it hurt just as much, if not more for some people than physical cheating, and what does some feminist relationship theory have to say about it? So let's set the scene. We're talking about The Wedding Planner and, how Steve definitely crosses some lines, just not in the usual way that we might think of when we're thinking of cheating. Or maybe you're like me and watch it. It was like, no, this is definitely cheating. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's like super sketchy when it comes to kind of going on a date with J-Lo's character. They almost kiss in the rain. They very much are kind of flirty throughout the movie. And yeah, it becomes very clear that he is indeed cheating on his fiance. And, there's like kind of a classic question of like, is emotional cheating even real cheating? If there's no kissing, no sex, does it count? And spoiler alert, yes, it does count. And we're going to break it down in this episode, again, using feminist relationship theory to really back up, like, what did the experts say about this? Why is it happening? Why does emotional betrayal cut so deep? So let's start with defining it, shall we? What is emotional cheating? Emotional cheating is a form of deep, intimate connection with someone outside your relationship that crosses established boundaries. So here's some key signs. Sharing personal, vulnerable things with someone else that you don't share with your partner. Prioritizing this person emotionally, so texting them first, wanting to see them first, seeking their comfort, hiding the relationship with your partner. Flirting, even if it's technically innocent, keeping your interaction secret. So like if you wouldn't tell your partner about it, why is that? Is because you feel like you're crossing some sort of line. And I think like, the line for this feels like it definitely differs from a healthy friendship, right? And those differences are transparency and boundaries. And yeah, just kind of want to name Bell Hook's concept of love ethics in All About Love. She shares that love requires honesty, accountability, and integrity, which emotional cheating definitely undermines. So let's talk about why emotional cheating maybe hurts just as much, if not more, than physical cheating for some people. Sex and sexual acts often may seem, as like they're the real quote unquote betrayal. But emotional intimacy is just as powerful and sometimes even more so. And Esther Perel's work in The State of Affairs, her book, she highlights how emotional betrayal is really devastating to people because it makes a partner feel replaceable. and it disrupts trust in really deep, lasting ways. And studies show that people often take emotional betrayal harder than physical cheating because it may feel more personal. And sometimes this is a gendered thing, like more cis women will say like, yeah, emotional cheating is worse. More cis men might say that physical cheating is worse. So it does depend on who you are and what that feels like. I definitely want you to pause for a second and just think to yourself about your identity and what resonates with you more. Is it more that emotional cheating feels worse, or is it that physical cheating does, or both of them are equal? Or yeah, I think it's important to reflect on that and figure out where you fall in that as well. And yeah, like in the wedding planner, right? Like Steve's fiance had no clue that he was catching feelings for J-Lo, but we all knew as the audience. And so therein lies the problem of if, she was in the know that he was catching feelings, then this would be different. And so the next part that I want to talk about actually is how patriarchy kind of, this is no surprise, fuels emotional cheating. So Adrienne Rich's essay, Compulsory Heterosexuality and Lesbian Existence, discusses how men are often socialized to seek emotional labor from multiple women, kind of reinforcing these emotional cheating dynamics, right? So, like, Steve in the wedding planner, his fiance had no clue that he was catching feelings for JLo, but we all knew, and therein lies the problem. The final major section that I want to talk about is how to avoid emotional cheating and how to make sure that you are not participating in something like that, right? Because obviously, if we're partnered and we're in a monogamous partnership, we want to respect the boundaries of our partnership. And so the first thing is to set those clear relationship boundaries. What's okay? What is not okay? What is too much? Every couple is different, so it's really important for you to define it together. The second thing is be really honest with yourself. Again, if you're someone who is hiding texts, hiding DMs, you're changing names in your phone, you're telling yourself that it's harmless, but you don't feel like it actually is, really check in with yourself and potentially talk to your partner about that and really figure out like how to be honest and open. Another thing is prioritizing your actual partner. If you are turning to someone else for emotional fulfillment, it might be time to talk about why that is. Also, communication is key here. If you're feeling disconnected in your relationship and that's why you're feeling like you're needing to go elsewhere, really talk about it. Talk about that and try to seek that with your partner before looking for that connection in a different spot. And a person who I want to name here is Jessica Fern, who wrote Polysecure, who talks about how emotional security and open, honest communication are the foundation of any ethical relationship, monogamous or not. And yeah, I know we're kind of towards the end of the episode here, but I do want to name that like monogamy might not be for you. If you're somebody who's thinking like, oh, I actually do want to connect with multiple people, but I'm not sure what to do. I'm curious if that's something that you're interested in hearing about. Write it in our DMs on Instagram, or in our anonymous question box in our Instagram bio. I'm curious if folks want to hear me talk about how to change your monogamous partnership to an open partnership or what those conversations could look like. Because definitely not saying that it's easy and every couple is different. But if you're somebody who has really thought about the fact that monogamy as a relationship structure might not be for you, what does talking about that with your partner look like? But most people are monogamous. And so no judgment on it one way or another. But I do think that it's important to consider, if you are monogamous and you want to stay that way and you know that that is the way that feels best for you to have a relationship, really important to really check in with yourself to make sure you're setting those clear boundaries, you're being honest, you're prioritizing your partner, you're communicating with them. And yeah, know that like feeling worried about hurting your partner's feelings or like, being honest with them, it might be a hard thing. But it is the right thing to be open and honest. And that, again, yeah, the way to have an ethical relationship. So just to wrap up here, emotional cheating is real cheating. And while it might not, be a physical thing, it can damage trust. And the takeaway is, if you wouldn't want your partner doing something that you're doing because it makes you feel bad, it is worth questioning, like, what about this is interesting to me and how can I discuss that with my partner? I'd love to hear what you think about this episode. If you have experienced emotional cheating before, if it's something that you are interested in hearing more about, please DM me on Instagram at SexEdWithDB Podcast. And yeah, I'm very excited to continue to do these bonus episodes every Friday. If you have a question, go in the link tree in our Instagram bio and you can check out the anonymous sex ed question box. And yeah, if you like this episode, please share it with a friend. Share it with your partner if you're interested in having a conversation with your partner about it. And yeah, love y'all. Thanks so much. Our creator, host, and executive producer is me, Danielle Bezalel, aka DB. Our producer is Sadie Lidji. Our communications lead is Cathren Cohen. Our music theme is by Hook Sounds. Thanks so much to our featured guests, partners, and listeners. If you have a rom-com you remember from growing up and want us to cover it on Rom-Com Bomb, submit it to us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and leaving a comment on Spotify. Want to partner with us? Email us at sexedwithdb@gmail.com. For more sex ed content, follow us on Instagram at sexedwithdbpodcast. See you next time.